Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderfall Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today's video is going to be a little bit of fun. Now, with the channel's birthday having just passed, we've been 3 years now on Cinderfall Gaming, I thought it'd be a good idea to maybe post a questionnaire up and let everyone ask the questions that they want to know, or at least get an answer from, on me, or particular things about the channel and about me as a wargamer, just giving you an idea of the person that is doing this channel that you're all watching. So with that in mind, I posted in Discord and I posted on YouTube's community section asking for people to submit some questions, and I'm just going to ramble through them all today. That's what this whole video is going to be, me answering questions people have asked. Thank you to everyone who did put in some questions, and I'm sure we'll probably go back and maybe do this again next year. Maybe we'll have some more people who want to know some more stuff, who knows. But this is just going to be a little get to know me more than anything. So without further ado, let's get cracking into this. And first of all, we'll start with all the Discord questions, because that's the vast majority of them. And we'll start with Kurandar. Hobbies other than AOS. So obviously, like, miniature wargaming as a whole is something I'm into. Miniature painting is something I'm into as well. I'm into other, sort of nerd hobbies around that. I really enjoy, like, D&D, Dungeons & Dragons. I was a playtester for Age of Sigmar Soulbound. I enjoy playing lots of the Fantasy Flight ones, like Deathwatch. RPG is a big part of what I like to do. Cooking is a big part of my life as well. I'm a chef by trade, and cooking is something I find a lot of enjoyment in, especially like cooking at home when I've got time to sort of laze about the kitchen. I really enjoy. And lastly, probably football. Like, I used to play quite a high level of football. I've played at a national level in my youth, and football is a big part of my life. Unfortunately, injuries took that away from me, but my sort of involvement in football, my support of football, by this I mean soccer for anyone around the world where you're talking. I am Australian and I call it football, mainly because of, what it's the sport I grew up with. But yeah, football is definitely a big hobby of mine outside. We then go to Doma, who goes, the first model or kit that made you really decide this hobby was for you. So I got into the hobby around the time of Lord of the Rings properly. I'd had Hero Quest for quite a few years before that, and we played like Warhammer Quest and Hero Quest and all that sort of stuff beforehand, Space Hulk, Space Crusade, etc. That was all just board games. And then going into a Games Workshop store, my cousins dragged me in. They'd already picked up the Empire vs. Orcs and Goblins starter set from 4th or 5th edition. I can't remember exactly which one. I think it's the 5th edition. I may be wrong. But anyway, I went, and on the shelf there were some Warhawk Riders from the Wood Elf range, and that definitely sold me. I really liked Legolas is my favourite character in Lord of the Rings, and so the Warhawk Riders, add Gwahir and the Eagles of Lord of the Rings, really digged all that sort of stuff. But unfortunately, Wood Elves didn't have a army book back then when I first started. They were just before their 05 release, and so I actually went over and looked at Skaven, and the Rattling Gun was truly the model that sold me on Warhammer in general. And then we go to Arnold Degens, best painted model I've ever done. I think the best painted model I've done, probably I'm most proud of now, is definitely the Wood Elf Battle Standard Bearer, the 2005 box model. I shared that around with my Wanderers army, my Living City army that I did not too long ago. I did full freehand on the banner for the first time. I'm really happy with how that model turned out. I do think it's probably my best model, if not the Nomad Prince I painted a little while before that. I think is one of my best models. But I think just because I tried freehand, and I think I did pretty decently well at freehand, I think that is the model that is probably my best painted. First painted model was from a learn to paint session at a local GW. The one I went and I picked up my Rattling Gun. They had Lord of the Rings miniatures on the table at that time, and I got to paint a Last Alliance elf. Circa's 36 favourite 40k army. Now, a lot of people are going to say Eldar. I do talk about Eldar a lot, but I think my favourite 40k army is probably Deathwatch. I love the idea of Deathwatch. It's probably the Deathwatch RPG that got me into 40k a lot more. Picked that up thinking it was part of the Space Marines Codex, and turns out it's an RPG system from Fantasy Flight, whole different thing. Really dig that game. And Deathwatch, just as a part, I love the whole mishmash. The sort of A-team, Space Marine, Alien Hunters is a really good vibe I dig. But Eldar are definitely a close second. Kurandar, again, what sold you on Anvilgard? So, the whole story with Anvilgard started when LLV was doing stuff with Rob from The Honest Wargamer. They were doing the Stats Center and they were posting tournament results. And people, you were seeing tournament results for all these common armies, Stormcast Eternals, you were seeing things for Daughters of Cain, Ardeneth Deepkin, etc. But at this time, we were before Cities of Sigmar, and we had all those random factions. And so a lot of people were sort of playing around with some of the ones that didn't have battle tomes at the time, like Skaven was in there for a while, and all that sort of stuff. But I think the one that I picked up, I had just read City of Secrets by Nick Horth, which had a certain Arakazent in there, and that sold me on Scourge Protest. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to play an army that no one plays. I'm going to be the only person to be playing this army at a major event anywhere in the world, and I was the only person to ever record a result in any recorded result fashion at a grand tournament with Scourge Privateers on multiple occasions. And so that's pretty much how the story started. I read a book. I was trying to decide an army that no one else was playing to be, my own sort of thing. And I landed on Scourge Privateers. And then, of course, that translates into Anvilgard because that's where the Scourge fit into. Go down to Gorilla Dad. What is your beauty routine? Lack of sleep, and overworking myself in the kitchen. That's probably my beauty routine. Do not have one. Maybe once or two. When the hair gets when I start being able to taste the beard, it gets shaved. Jaro, what's your favorite AOS and fantasy army, and why is it Lisman? Well, I hate to disappoint you. It is not Lisman. In fantasy, I never really was fond of Lisman. Age of Sigmar, I like the sort of space-time lore of the Lisman a little bit more. They're one of those armies that I'm sort of meh on, to be honest. I like them, but they're not one that I'm going to rush out and buy anytime soon. Though I will say the new Croak model is absolute fire. Aslan, with the expanding interest in side games like Underworld's Kill Team, Warcry, and The Lot, etc., are there any factions, warbands, kill teams, whatever you're interested in getting into the most? So for this, I think, we'll start with game at a high level. I think game that I'm most interested to get into as a whole with something is probably Necromunda. I really like the idea of the real gritty sort of number crunching for it. And as a result, I'm really interested in getting to... I'm trying to remember the name of the warband. I like Escher. I like Delac, but I don't like the new Delac upgrade stuff. I like the techie dudes. I forget their name. I'll remember it later. The really techie dudes that came out with the hoverboards and all that, they look really sweet. And then Underworlds is always great as well. Warhammer Underworlds, because it's just a bunch of fantastic minis to paint. But definitely, it's not Cawdor, no. I can't remember the name of them for the life of me. Anyway, the real techie ones, the ones that came with the hoverboards and all that for the upgrade pack, they're really cool. Jade Earthu, so you asked what was my first painted model. We've already gone through that. However, something a little bit more progressive for a question. If you could design 3 new models in AOS, what would they be? So I would totally make a Kurnoth model. Give me like a giant reimagined tree man version of Orion. That would be absolutely sweet. I would love to see a proper werewolf mini for Soulblight Gravelords. Like, I know we've got the half werewolves, but I'd love to see like something being able to turn into a wolf and stuff like that. I think that'd be a really sweet model. And then third one, I reckon I would like to see a rat dragon. Skaven love mutating all these creatures. I'd love to see one of these Draconith things absolutely mutated by Skaven, corrupted by Clan Molder. That would be amazing. Gyro asking the big questions. Would you rather fight 100 chicken-sized Kragnos or 1 Kragnos-sized chicken? Now, I'm going to copy Peter from Family Guy. You got to stand in a small, narrow doorway, and you're definitely picking the 100 chicken-sized Kragnos because you can line them up single file and just keep kicking them. Aslan, you're in charge of introducing a new faction for each Grand Alliance. What do you bring to the Mortal Realms and why? Order's easy, Kernothi. I'm an old Wood Elf player. I absolutely love them. I love the models we've seen for Underworlds. Kernothi, definitely. I think for Death, I would... What about like something like Gargoyles? Or like Creatures of the Night? Something like that. Yeah. Or even, you know what, screw it. Bring back Tomb Kings. They're cool. I like Tomb Kings. Destruction. I would love to see Femir as a full army. I think they're a really great concept that deserves a full fleshed out army. And Chaos. A new faction for Chaos is hard because it's really centralized around the 5 gods. As a new army, I'd like to see, you know, the Legion of the First Prince like fully expanded. Give it, you know, generic demons. Make more cool looking demon generic models that are for that particular army. From Zil, Chaos gets the Chaos Dwarves because they look cool. Oh no, she's just answering the question above. Chaos, that's not a bad one actually. She's answering the question above. Chaos Dwarves would be sweet for the Chaos one, but I'm pretty sure we're getting them already, so I didn't want to say that. Martin Rosler, name one character from the old world you would like to bring back into AOS and how you would explain it story-wise. I mean, for me, it's got to be Araloth. I like the story of him, you know, finding that new world that him and Lilith created. I think that's a really easy story to just bring over and like, well, that world survived. And now that little pocket realm is now where the Kernothi are coming from. Ronja, why is Yndrasta the coolest model ever made? Because she looks damn awesome. Best model ever? Debatable, but she is really, really cool. So, Morphic, why did you choose to start up your channel? So, originally, I started up the channel just because I like talking about Warhammer. And originally, it started as me talking about Warhammering and just sort of a hobby blog of me talking about Warhammer while I was experienced being a dad for the first time. Hence the Dad Hammer groups that I run and stuff like that. But over time, I started to get more people around me to play. I started helping build communities. And I found that's what I really enjoy with my channel is building those communities up. And so I started really focusing the channel on building up communities. In the end, I just like talking about Warhammer. I like sharing my passion with people. And then that's the same reason with the Discord. I think it helped find a lot of new people because that's what the channel was aimed for. It gave new people a place to come and talk about Warhammer in a very baseline place, but also I have endeavored to make my Discord server a very accepting and welcoming place of all. What's my favourite type of video to make? I'm going to say I do just enjoy doing the hobby hangouts. They're fun chatting with people. Do you play any Warhammer Online license game? No, I'm not a very big video gamer. If I'm spending time like that, I would much rather be doing something solo. I play Skyrim a bit, probably a little bit more as I'm getting into the game. I'm really just sort of digging Skyrim as a theme at the moment, but generally not. When did you first get into the hobby and how? I've sort of explained that one already. And then going to not yet. If you could reintroduce or reimagine Bretonnia into AOS, how would it look? I would just do Stormcast Knights. I would sort of maybe go, oh, these are picked from this particular realm, so this is why the heraldry looks like this, or you know they fought in these different battles. I would just do Stormcast Knights on like giant thunder steeds. Mapper, what armies are your favourite for lore, models, and for gameplay? For lore, I think the whole story of the Lumineth Realm Lords is really cool. I think they've got a really deep and rich story to them. For models, I think my favourite models in the range are probably Stormcast Eternals. And for gameplay, I really enjoy cities and that I can just chop and change and play so many different ways in that army. Vol's top 5 Black Library novels. So my favourite reads would definitely have to be Warcry Catacombs by Richard Strachan, along with End of Enlightenment. I really enjoyed both the novels he's released so far. The Orion trilogy by Darius Hinks. The Skaven trilogy. Now, who is that? By C.L. Werner. And Knights of Bretonnia once again by not C.L. Werner. That's Josh Reynolds. I'm pretty sure. Anthony Reynolds by Knights of Petronia is by. They are definitely my 5. Nizik, what AOS YouTubers do you watch regularly, if any? I watch Warhammer Weekly every week. I would say that it's probably the number one I watch regularly, and probably AOS Coach as well are the 2 I really watch. Which was your Kubo? Which was your first army and how it felt to enter into the hobby? So, like I said, I wanted to pick up Wood Elves as my first army. At the time, they didn't have a book. Skaven, then I picked up the Ratling Gun. That was my first army. Wood Elves were my first models. Skaven was my first army. Picked it up, and it was just a load of fun. I got into the game with 3 of my cousins. We all played. It was quite funny. 2 of them picked up the starter box for their birthday, which were close together. So they had Orcs and Empire. And then my cousin picked up Lisman, which, funnily enough, meant Lisman versus Skaven. So it was just a good experience for me getting into the hobby. Darth Rasmus, why miniature wargaming? I think I enjoy the doing aspect of it. I'm a person who really enjoys doing things. It's why I'm a chef and not like some desk job. I enjoy doing things, so that's probably why. Papa Bob, favorite unit type in the game? I really enjoy monsters. I think, especially with the new edition, I'm really enjoying them even more. Papa Bob, again, if you could create your dream fantasy and sci-fi faction for Warhammer, what would they be? I think it's a toss-up between either bringing Kernothian, because I really, really dig that idea, or making Scourge Privateers into a full army. Papa Bob, next conflict you want to see in AOS, and a storyline to go with. I like the idea of the story of maybe Alariel and Nurgle coming back to heads, and Alariel finally sort of pushing the tide back would be a really cool story to tell. Outer and shot first, what's the best date you've been on? Would definitely be the date after my wedding with my wife. Nothing can ever beat that date. Morphic, whilst the channel art's so good, that's because Lady Witchfox art is absolutely amazing. Cosy DV, as a South Australian YouTuber, in your opinion, what led to you getting as many subs as you currently have, and what plans do you have to further grow those numbers? I'm going to go with what people tell me. They like that the channel is very basic, that it doesn't try to overcomplicate, and it just enjoys the fun aspect of Warhammer more than anything. I plan to continue this and maybe take it to other areas of wargaming, so looking into 40k, the Skyrim tabletop game, and other things like that. Obviously all the Games Workshop side games as well, things like Song of Ice and Fire. I want to expand into other games and take what I've done for AOS into other games as well. Kubai comes with favourite army, Cities of Sigmar, most hated army. I can't say I hate any army in general. Like, there's always an army I would collect. One that never appealed to me before Cruel Boys was Oryx, but probably the one that I think falls down the line the furthest more than anything is Flesh Eater Courts. I've never considered picking up Flesh Eater Courts ever. Erdal, which paint tastes best? I like the chunky ones, so something like a Valhallan Blizzard is really nice on a hot sunny day. And that is all from the Discord questions. Thank you everyone for the questions. Let's get on to those YouTube questions next. So just going to open up and we will get on to all those YouTube questions. So let's see if there's any worth taking note of down here. Alrighty, so we've got a couple. I think we've only got like 7. Some of these are bound to be a double up. Oh no, so we've got from Daedalus 2, favorite model overall. It's funny, I probably don't own one of my favorite models in the game. Is he my favorite model overall? The Ogroid Myrmidon is right up there. However, I do think my favorite model overall still is the old Wood Elf Spellsinger with the staff, the one that's not floating, the male Spellsinger that's not floating, sort of grabbing one of his little spikes by the head, ready to sort of sacrifice him. Favorite tournament you've been to? Definitely CanCon, without a doubt. Story of the most fun game you've played? There's been a couple of really good games I will point people to the channel for battle reports if you want to see a couple of really cool games. The one I just played against Blades of Corn was really fun, and the one against Spiderfang Grots, where he's my Wanderers, was really fun as well. They're some of the best games I've played on the channel. Tim Anderson, any question? Nope, no question there. It's a lot of people just saying congrats. Do we have any more questions? Just looking now. Here we go. So, MJ, you know who you are. I cannot pronounce your name for the life of me. Favorite and least favorite army when it comes to story and lore. See, story and lore. Now, Flesh of the Courts definitely don't fall down the bottom of that. Beast of Chaos at the moment, probably bottom. I really love Beast of Chaos as an army. I wish there was more to the lore of them, though. And my favorite bits of lore for an army, I really do enjoy the whole Stormcast Eternal story. Favorite Black Library book, been through that. Your favorite AOS 2 battalion, this should come as no surprise to anyone. I can't remember the actual name of it, but it would be the Scourge Privateers battalion before the current one in Cities of Sigmar was my favorite AOS 2 battalion. What other tabletop games do I play at the moment? Most of Age of Sigmar, and I'm just getting into Skyrim, as mentioned. Want to get into a lot more. Especially show them on the channel. And so then we've got Corbono1231. So what, going into Warhammer, we've been through that one. Do you prefer AOS to fantasy old world? If so, what aspects do you like, dislike about both or either? I definitely prefer the more free-flowing version of AOS to fantasy. Fantasy will always have a special place in my heart. It's nostalgic to me. I really enjoy the magic item and character building in fantasy more than AOS, though. Do you enjoy 40k as well? If so, what army do you play? So armies for 40k, current, Eldar, and Space Marines. If you had to pick one and only army for an AOS noob to start with, which one would it be and why? I think you can't go wrong with Seraphon, can you? They're a really strong army. They have all aspects of the game in their play. They can teach you how to play combos, but they can also play with very minimal non-combo style as well. I think Seraphon are probably one of the best armies to get for a new player. Also, dinosaurs riding dinosaurs. What is not cool about that? And my favourite army lore-wise, been through that one. So with that, that's all of the questions. So I hope that taught you a little bit about me. If you've got any more questions, drop them in the comments below. This is a ton of fun. Hope you all enjoy. Well, thank you all for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Also, while you're at it, why not come chat more with us on Discord? We've got a link in the description of the video below to our Discord server. You can come chat with me and other members of our fine little community here at Cinderfall Gaming. Lastly, we'd like to give a shout out to everyone who helps support the channel in various different ways. First of all, to our Patreon members, Christian Weir, James Soren, Chaos Spawn, AJC, Kenny Lowe, Outer and Shot First, James Crowder, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, Tim Newman, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, MJ, and Dyna226. Thank you to, as well, our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Fire Titan, Steve T, The Real Zeot, Chris Wallace, Turriot12, Vinny, and Loch Lorick. And a special thanks to our artist who does all the channel art for us, Lady Witchfox Art, thank you very much. And to our Discord moderator, Xmorphic, you do a fantastic job on Discord for us as well. Thank you all, everyone, for watching. If you'd like to help support on Patreon or YouTube member or help support the channel in another way, you can do so by following one of the links in the description of the video to Patreon or YouTube members, or go buy some Cinderfall Gaming merch from our Teespring store, also linked in the video's description. That's it for today, everyone. Thank you again. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.